that now. Hello. We are starting our podcast here.
We have
and
cameras everywhere, so we're going to be looking.
We are also doing we're doing a live TikTok show. And if you haven't seen us on TikTok, please go look, because we actually have all sorts of stuff that is going on. I don't know why it's doing that on TikTok. That's just really weird. Did you see that? It's just flashing.
Oh, people are joining.
Oh, wow. Hello,
That's
everybody
why.
who's joining. So we are going to start our podcast here. Hello, this is MindScapes717.
Nope.
It's not going.
Nope.
See, technical difficulties suck, people. It sucks. So,
Hi to everyone. We
Yes.
don't. This is our first time. We're setting up our podcast, but this is the first time we go live. We don't know what's happening, but thank you if you're joining and listening.
Yes.
I promise we'll get our shit together. It's just we're not there yet.
We have 3 things going on here. We're not used to this, but we're gonna get used to it. So with your help, so if you have questions, we are MindScape717, and we're gonna start again. So here we are. Hello, everybody. This is MindScape717. This is our second season. So this is the first year, first episode of our second season. Mm-hmm. We talk a lot about culture, and we talk a lot about mental health. We travel, and we talk about travel, and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about something that I approached on TikTok recently, mm-hmm. and that is it's all about narcissism. Mm-hmm. It's all about how the victim feels, what happens when somebody is love bombed, and if you feel that you have had any of these associated with you, like, chime in, let us know. So I'm just gonna backtrack a little. I was married, and it was completely love bombed, and I have to tell you that I loved being love bombed. That was part of my trauma response. And I think that what I need to do, because there's a lot of confusion on what love bombing is, compared to, like, the normal intensity of a relationship that is
like
just
the
starting.
Honeymoon phase, the limerence, if you will, right? There is a lot to be said about when we start a new relationship. There's this honeymoon phase. It's very real. And there's a lot of limerence, meaning we are getting all of the dopamine hits, the serotonin, the oxytocin, the happy shit that we need to be happy. We are getting it from this new person. And people love relationships. We are social beings. Even the most introverted, of us need those relationships to kind of just be able to survive. If it's not socially, it is romantically, and anywhere in between. But we do want to, and just before we didn't play the intro music.
Oh, we didn't.
We just kind of jumped right in.
That's
but
cool.
You know what?
I can add it.
We're a mess. Just follow us if you will. But yeah, so the honeymoon phase, we're all very familiar with this. It's great to be in love with someone or feel like we are getting to that point with our person. And, there's a difference between love bombing, and we will get into the definitions and stuff to kind of give you a little bit more context. But love bombing, as opposed to just loving hard, very, very different. Some people love hard because they love hard, and a lot of us want to love hard and find our person and love forever, and it's beautiful and it's magical, and it gives us all of the happy shit that we need. But love bombing does not do that. Love bombing gives us something very temporary, and it does give us the dopamine kick that we need, but it also sets us up to be in a very unfortunate situation with someone who uses that against us.
Yes. Now, we are talking to someone who is a licensed therapist right here. Tania is a licensed therapist. I used to be a therapist, but now I am more into the educational aspect of it. So I develop programs for mental health, as well as well-being, resilience, all those different types of programs for people. So I'm the one that develops classes. I develop online classes. I do webinars, that type of thing.
We do have a website. I don't think we've come back to that, but we do have a website, and we are going to be more mindful ourselves to add some of Leslie's stuff. It's really good stuff in the world of mental health, and putting that out there, and so you guys can see a little bit of what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Not only my life as a therapist, but hers as a developer, and kind of where we're going with all of this information.
And just to give you a brief glimpse into that, I've developed some VR simulations on workplace violence, as well as well-being and resilience and all that kind of stuff. You'll have to forgive us because this is the very first time we've gone live on TikTok.
We think
so
we
hello,
know shit.
Everybody. I know we always are yapping. Yes, we are. We are nonstop yapping.
And then there's like screen shit. Like we promise you, we're not trying to be funny about this. We genuinely do not know what is happening. We just turned it on to try it, and I feel like a lot more shit than we expected is going on. But thank you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And if there's any context to anything, we do appreciate it because we don't know what's happening. But stuff is moving, and if we're like, what the fuck? Sorry. We're just gonna continue. But thank you for the likes. We appreciate it.
Exactly. So let's talk a little bit. We talked a little about narcissism. We talked a little bit about love bombing and about intense loving. So let's go back to narcissism. So, Miss Therapist, what is a narcissist?
Okay. So I know there are two different scopes when we talk about narcissism or a narcissist, right? So in the world of pop culture, I know when I have asked people that have no idea what it means in the world of mental health, people assume that it means someone who is vain, who loves themselves, who puts themselves above everything. No. I know that there is historical context behind that, and I think narcissism comes from a god or someone that was called narcissist.
Yes.
Narcissism.
Yeah.
Narcissism.
I don't know.
Something like that, but he was very vain, right? Vanity and narcissism, I think pop culture has put them together, and that's not true. Not anything to do with it in the world of mental health. Now, outside of whatever mythology that is, it's not how we work in mental health.
So pop culture has really kind of spread the word about narcissism, and it used to be that the powers that be said that narcissism is only prevalent in the world a little less than 1% of the whole population. But with the growth of social media and with the growth of education and everything, narcissism now seems to be way more widespread than what we originally thought. Right. But also because pop culture and social media spreads these things about narcissism, it has become something other. Or labeled as other. And I think that all of us know what other means. If
you want to explain that for those who maybe don't.
Outside, an outlier, like an outside social norm. So anyone, for example, it used to be that 20 years ago, that anyone who was considered in the LGBTQ plus community was considered other because they were outside of the social norm. So although I'm not talking about any LGBTQIA plus individuals here, the other part is the important aspect of that. Right. So let's talk about narcissism itself. So narcissism has many different levels, categories.
Probably levels like severity and I guess how it presents, right? Because narcissism, by way of mental health and how we define it, it is also known as, aka, self-sabotager. That is how we in the world of mental health look at narcissism. So when someone comes in as, I'm all about myself and I'm selfish, and all right, first of all, no. narcissist people that have the real definition, if they're not in therapy, they will never take accountability for how they interact with people. So in the world of mental health, this is what we're talking about. And we can always come back if we need to clarify. Let us know in the live, and we're going to keep looking at different stuff. So just bear with us.
We have 3 different things going on. If you haven't heard, we have a YouTube thing going on. We have this live TikTok going on.
And then the podcast thing.
And then we have a podcast going on. So there's 3 different things going on, and someone's laughing with us saying, "Oh, you all be yapping quite a bit." Yeah, we yap quite a bit.
We don't take offense. Y'all can be nice and nasty. We won't be doing our thing. So let's roll on. So that's what we're talking about, narcissism. So then definitely really having those conversations, differentiating between the two. It's a self-sabotager, not a vain kind of perspective.
So you have a self-sabotager for a variety of different reasons, whether it's trauma from their life or how they grew up, or, you know, it's a cyclical thing, or it's just that individual's way of life. You have that self-sabotager. What happens is somehow they have the ability to find somebody who's very vulnerable as a partner. And that vulnerability can be anything. It can be someone who has tons of empathy and compassion, somebody who has just gone through something horrific and is seeking love or seeking validation or something like that. And then who else?
Well, honestly, it's just those people that are very empathic and that are concerned for people's well-being, right? And I think we all know those traits are very, very obvious, very overt, very in your face. People will make sure you're okay and will stop their things for you. And that is what they look for. They look for that bit of space to kind of seep in and beckon some of us who are not only empaths, but also are caretakers by nature, are nurturers, are people that are always looking out for people. When we have those traits, we wear them on our sleeves, and we are very open to those moments of unfortunate situations, because it's very easy to see a really good person for who they are, a really good person. And they are even better at it because they need the good person to feed off of, to then be all of the things that we look at as far as pathology is concerned.
Right. So there's several different types of narcissism. And I think the 2 that we'll talk about today are grandiose narcissists and malignant narcissists. And as I have said on previous TikTok posts, there are several known narcissists on TikTok, as they talk about it. They talk about their own issues, and they talk about what they look for and their targets, and how they go about doing things and why they think the things that they do. If you find them, they are so good to hear. You'll learn so much from them. You really will. And they themselves will tell you, if you meet a narcissist, run. Run the other way. But how would you know? You have a grandiose narcissist who believes that they're the gods of life. And then you have the malignant narcissist who really just, you talk about self-sabotagers. They're sabotagers. They're not self-sabotagers. They're just sabotagers.
All around. It's all around kind of encompassing thing that they go through.
Right. Oh, somebody says they've met a few. Yeah, exactly. So, So, and it's really hard to deal with a narcissist. It's very hard. Now, what can you tell us about narcissists in general?
To be absolutely fair, I stay away as a therapist. That's not something that I on a daily basis work with. Their personality disorders as a topic is very difficult to deal with, because I think I've had borderline. Narcissist, not so much. But as a narcissist, obviously, I kind of want to go to the term of breadcrumbing and or love bombing, because these are very, I think this will give you an idea when we talk about these terms. We were talking about this earlier. For me, it's so important to provide the right education, because pop culture, once again, has twisted things to make it feel almost like blurry lines, right? So a narcissist, literally the love bombing is such a big thing, because I think it was like you were saying, they're really good about picking who they're going to do these things to. And it's usually people that are open to that love, right? Because it's very interesting, because like they'll love bomb, but what they're doing is providing the safe space for you to feel comforted, safe, secure, stable, on purpose.
Let's talk about love bombing then. Can you like define love bombing? Like, is there like a definition of love bombing?
I'm sure there is, and I feel like I've seen one, but it's usually kind of this process of they will love you until they can return to their status quo.
Now you might consider that odd, because it's like, hey, when you're in a new relationship, there's this intensity anyhow, right? But love bombing is like 10 times more intense. It is constantly texting you from the very beginning of like seeking information from them, whether it's through an app or whether you met some different way. They want to talk to you all the time. It's intense. They're texting you, they're sexting you, they're really like intense, wanting to talk to you all the time, almost isolating you so that they can talk to you. And they also do all sorts of different things like extreme flattery and compliments. And for those of us who have that empathy and caretaking and all that kind of stuff, we're the ones that usually like are telling other people, hey, you're doing great, and supporting other people and complimenting other people. And so when it happens to us, who are, the survivors or victims or targets or however you want to say it,
right?
It's a new feeling. It's new, and you like it. You like it a lot. You like the feeling of being flattered. You like the feeling of being complimented.
Because who doesn't?
And not only that, but it's complimented in the way that you hope it would be. Like, for me, they were telling me, oh, you're so intelligent, you're, smart, because that mattered to me, right? That really mattered to me.
And we're really good at giving that information up very freely and openly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when, right, and again, the differentiation that we're trying to make is that it's not just this, right? Like, there's this very macabre kind of thing that comes in on the other side, because this is where it starts. I'm listening to you. I am taking in all of the things that you're sharing about yourself, because we want to share. And I think, right, it makes us vulnerable when they're asking for more. We're like, yeah, let me tell you everything. I want to share. And I know as women, as one myself, I want to give all the information, but like, whoa, right? Like, but then they keep asking, and it's consistent. It is that consistency that really, like, ooh, we love it. We're like, ooh, this is nice. They want to know about me. You're interested.
You feel validated. You feel heard. You feel like
wanted.
They're really listening. You feel like they want to help you succeed with whatever it is that you're trying to go for.
Right.
And you also feel like this is a person that I can share something with that isn't going to turn around and be nasty about it, right? You don't even think that, because of the way that they're treating you with the utmost respect, with the utmost, just tuned in to your voice and everything that you're saying. So and by the way, this is all done extremely fast. It is fast. It's fast and it's furious. They want to keep doing this, keep love bombing you until you are reeled in. And that's when fast. It turns. Yeah. And so for example, for me, it was 3 months in to our relationship, and he was already talking marriage. And that's really, something that we should all consider like red flags at this point.
But to be fair, it's one of those things also where do we kind of, our bleeding hearts want that? Don't we want our person to want to be with us forever when we are in limerence?
Right.
We want that. So this, and not to completely misjudge either, because this is where we need to be self-aware about in what direction we're going with how they interact with us. Because to be fair, shit, I know what it feels like. Like, sometimes you meet someone and you're like, I want them to be my person. And that's one thing that you're like, all right, let me pump my brakes and make sure this is safe for me. But to be fair, what happens is this switch of now they're just nasty to you. And that's what you have to be careful with.
Because what happens when they reel you in is then now it's time to devalue everything that you have said and to make you feel less than. So...
Because that's the turn.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, like, because a lot of people, and I have heard this, like, people instantly, when you know, I don't want to take that credit from people. It's just what you really need to understand when we say self-awareness and the turn that it takes. You are love bombed, but then after that comes this space of feeling less than. Every day it feels like they're, like, stabbing you but putting a band-aid, but then stabbing you again, and then giving you that band-aid when they're the one stabbing. Like, it's very psychological, and it's very, very emotional. They play up on everything, and they make you feel like you are the problem because they are self-sabotaging that relationship because they can't handle it. That's like the pathology behind it, where this is why they self-sabotage. They don't know how to have a relationship without, and again, these are people that are walking around freeballing it and not getting any help, right? And they're not diagnosed, and they're still dealing with these things. But in fairness, it's because they mistreat you. You are feeling less and less like yourself and less comfortable in the relationship, because this is when we go back to love bombing. I'm gonna love you extra hard, and I'm gonna get you to trust me again. It's about that switch, like when you feel like something is wrong in the pit of your stomach, you're like, something is not right here, but you don't know what it is because they turn around and love bomb you when you're like starting to almost make sense of it.
That's right.
And then they come back and then they got you again.
So in essence, the person who is being love bombed, the target, the prey, so to speak, is in a perpetual cycle of being heard, then being devalued, and then getting back to what they think is wonderful. And so it leaves that person almost drained of that empathy, the compassion, the caretaking, the whatever, because you don't know where you stand. It's like quicksand that you are living in. And sometimes those malignant narcissists get violent. And when that happens, that's a whole different ball game, because then, with and this isn't just with narcissists. So this is also with DV. I don't know if I can say it on TikTok. Okay. So this is with DV as well, where if somebody harms you in some way, then they'll come back and apologize profusely and tell you how much they love you and give you flowers or give you gifts or anything like that. But the narcissist will do something grand, a grand gesture, like say, oh, I did something really horrible. Let's go on a cruise. Let's travel to, wherever. Let's go out to eat. Let's do this. Let's do that. Something extremely grand to show how sorry they are, instead of actually communicating anything.
Right.
It's usually this grandiose type of,
because it's not taking accountability.
Right.
It's just kind of ignoring what I just did to you, and I'm going to again love bomb you. I'm going to give you all of these things that I know you like, and I know I can get you back on my side. It is very calculating in that mind, and it's almost contradictory. Like, well, they don't do it on purpose, but this is how they have relationships, and this is why it's pathology. They do not understand what that really looks like for the other person. They can't get it into their heads how that's affecting the other person and how abusive it is. Like, the abuse is very much there. So it is trying to, they're just drawing you back in. They're drawing you back in to then again, right, self-sabotage, or I'm going to ruin this by pushing you away, but I'm going to bring you right back with the love bombing.
So what's breadcrumbing?
Breadcrumbing is when they do literally what it is, right? They'll drop something. Instead of love bombing and being all at once, breadcrumbing is very small things, right? I will breadcrumb you along the way, and I will give you something really nice. Like, I will give you a good compliment, and then I will literally trail you up until where love bombing kind of becomes a thing. Because like you said, it is fast and it's all at once. Like, it's very incessant. It is very almost borderline harassing.
Mm-hmm.
And the breadcrumbing is a little here, a little there, and it confuses you because you're like, wait a minute, right? Like, you gave me flowers today, but you're kind of yelling at me. You yelled at me yesterday, and today you're giving me flowers. And then maybe the next day they'll take you out to dinner. Like, it's very slow going as opposed to love bombing. Literally a bomb, right, explodes. Breadcrumbing is little bit at a time. And you're confused because you're like, wait a minute, right? Because that's where the abuse grows into something that becomes like love bombing, and then just really big situations, DV, right? So that's where those are the different things. It's like how much of something they present to you. It's very small, but you can see the pattern of them giving you just enough. It's like, just enough. I will take you out to dinner tonight. Well, I'll take you out to dinner because, you want to, or kind of make it like they're doing you a favor, kind of, but making you feel good about it.
So you say recognition, right? You said recognize, and that just kind of brings me to almost the close of this session. But how can you recognize that there's a narcissist in your life?
So this is where I'm going to go back to what you said about self-awareness. Self-awareness is a wonderful term, but we throw it around in the world of therapy because it is something that is super important, because we start seeing when you go to a therapist, because this is the only way, honestly, because I go to my own therapy because I know how important it is. Going to someone who can give you the space to kind of air out everything you feel. Because honestly, by yourself, these are some things that you can't really do by yourself. I think it's very easy if you're in the field. I'd give you that. I'd be like, you know what? I think you can kind of walk yourself into a space where you can open up and work on that. But I think there's always a need for someone else to be like, ooh, that's not right. You're like, wait, what? Really? Because that's the aha for them is when they hear it back to them. And here it sounds fine. And here you're like, ooh, something's uncomfy. I just don't know what it is. And then someone else points it out and they're like, well, how about this? Because that's my job as a therapist. I have to give you a different. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I am going to point it out and, well, what do you think this means? Or how does this make you feel? And I know it's very cliche and everybody talks about it. But if we don't talk about how you feel about something, or kind of what happens along before, during, and after, you need someone to really pop that out and say, well, what about this, this, and this? What do you think that means? How did you feel about that? And then how do you feel now? And what did they say? You have to question everything that happens to get that self-awareness to be like, oh shit, something happened that my body is not okay with. Because you can't be in the traumatic situation and process the trauma. That does not happen. And we've talked about trauma before in our season 1, so please check it out, which we will get back to. But definitely you need help to get you out of that space, because you can't do both things at once. Our brain does not work that way. We can't kick into overdrive and say, I'm going to process trauma and be in it. That never works. And this is why I tell my clients, the safer you are, the harder you feel everything. Because your body's finally in a safe place to be able to feel the depression, the anxiety, the abuse, the physical pain that comes with something like that. Even if there was no hands raised, ooh, that mouth though, those words, ooh, those stay forever. And
so whatever you've said to the narcissist will be thrown back in your face tenfold.
And then
Constantly.
some. Like, you can add probably more to that, yeah. Absolutely.
You know, especially, for example, if they ask you questions like, oh, do you like to cook or something like that, right? And you say, oh, it's one of my favorite things, and I love to cook this, and I love to bake, for example. I might not like to cook, but I love to bake. And then they'll say, you're a horrible baker. When they devalue you, you're a horrible baker. You make the worst things. I don't even know why you say you like doing this, right? And then you have to start thinking, well, if I'm not good, then, should I continue doing something that I love? So, this is the kind of thing that happens. At some point, when you're with a narcissist, before you even get together with somebody else, you have to start asking yourself questions. 1, what am I looking for in a partner? 2, what do I value in a relationship? And what do I value as a family terminology, like family? What's family mean to you? Okay, these are things that you should kind of know and understand before you get into any relationship. Anyhow, you should know and understand what you're seeking, and what you value. And I think that in another TikTok, I had flat out said, when you're in that dating type of scenario, when you're dating somebody, you should always ask somebody, what do you value? What do you value in a relationship? What do you value as family? And don't say anything about yours yet. You want to get the information from that person that you're dating to see if you're even on the same wavelength. And then you have to sit back and ask yourself if that's something that you can compromise on or not. So I think it's really important to be self-aware of what you are looking for when you're even trying to get into a relationship. And sometimes those of us who have just undergone a divorce or a loss of somebody, or have had trauma in their past or whatever, we don't think about these things when we're going into relationships. We don't actually sit down and ask ourselves anything. We just want that relationship.
Right.
And I think that understanding what you want and what you need in a relationship is so important. And I think if you know these things, you're more likely to recognize if you're being love bombed, or if you are,
because you feel so unsafe. Like your body will tell you if you just listen. And maybe self-awareness, I know we're making it sound like it's so easy to have, and it's really not, right? It's not. But at the same time, if you kind of, and I do this body scans with my clients too, just listen to your body. If something is off, you're going to feel it. Either your heart starts beating a little bit too fast, or your stomach starts twirling and it feels like it's talking to you. You really, if something is uncomfortable, talk about it. Say something. Because something is dangerous, something is not working for you. And if you want to see how they react to any kind of conflict, because there needs to be conflict resolution with anyone that you're with, because there's always going to be disagreements, you can definitely be like, oh, what did you mean when you said this? This made me feel uncomfortable. What did you mean? That will give you a lot of indication of how they're going to treat you moving forward. Because if you don't agree with them, you better fucking believe they'll be ready to come back and say something. Because they are not okay with your own opinions, and they will show you who they are. And listen, and you listen very carefully, because people show you who they are and how they're going to treat you immediately. If you just feel your feelings in your body, you say, ooh, this is uncomfortable. What did you mean by this? And then if they come back and they come back a little too aggressive for your liking, then you're like, oh, okay, well, that's not going to vibe with me. So have a great life. And then you move the fuck on, because that's really all that's all you really need to know when you're starting off. Because I know we want to go in and we want to love hard, and I get it. I really do. We love to love. But you have to be careful with how people come back at you once you bring up something that's of conflict. Really listen to what they're saying, because that's what the fuck they mean.
Yeah.
They mean it.
Yeah. And once you're in a narcissistic relationship, it's really hard to get out of it. It's extremely difficult, and I've said this before, you become a statistic, because we all end up having roles to play in a family that has a narcissist involved in it. But anyhow, we will talk more about roles and things like that our next episode.
Yep.
Or if you want more lives, we'll do more lives. If you just want to DM us, ask us questions. We want to know them. We can answer your questions. And have anything else to say?
Mm-mm.
No,
I think that's a good ending point for today.
Yeah.
I mean, we can literally. We were just saying this, like, we could literally keep going for the rest of the day, but we're gonna be nice and cut it off here, I guess. So I think we're done for now.
I think we're done for now, also. And okay, I'm gonna stop the podcast now, and we'll figure that out. And we are still rolling with the live on TikTok as well as with YouTube. So if you have any questions, and those who have joined, please ask them. We actually want to know, and please forgive us. We are new to this. We're new to this live stuff on TikTok, let me tell you. But
we're new to all the social media. We have said this entire time. It's been about 6 months of this, and we are trying to get better every day, more and more. And this live is literally the first one we've done. And I'm sure people have been posting stuff, and we do appreciate it. I mean, we will get it together. We will do better and learn more of what needs to be learned on this. But we do appreciate anyone who has any questions. We don't mind sharing our stuff. If you want to know some personal shit, just ask us.
Exactly.
And my mouth is vulgar, so we're just going to roll with it.
Sailor.
If you don't like it, you don't like it, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to keep doing it, because even with my clients, I do it. But I am a therapist. I am a bilingual therapist. Work with a lot of trauma, complex PTSD, and obviously everything else that falls under that. But I love what I do. Mental health is a passion. It is my whole life's work. And I take it very serious. I'm here to help, and I will fucking validate the shit out of you, but I'm not going to let you be stupid. That's just not what we're going to do. And I really do appreciate when people are having these moments that need support, and I'm all for validation. I think it's super important. I was raised in a culture where we don't validate because we don't know how to. And that's just unfortunate part. I love my culture, but you better fucking believe that we don't do validation very well. And my parents are both Salvadorian, super proud of it. But at the same token, we just don't speak on validation. And I think that is such a huge thing, because it just helps with everything we're talking about, with self-awareness, support, building your own support system, even if it's not family. And that's saying a lot from a Latina. Like, look, I know family's everything, but sometimes we just got to take care of ourselves in the best way possible. So that's just a little bit of where I start with my work. But like I said, I can always talk until I'm blue in the face about what I do, because I truly do love what I do. As a first gen, I have a lot of first gen clients, and we talk about this, and it's a very true part of culture. We speak almost the same language as first gens, and we see a lot of the same things. So that's kind of where I come from in the world of mental health.
All right.
Yep. So if anything, please let us know if you have questions. If you didn't like something, also let us know. I mean,
yeah, doesn't hurt our feelings.
It really doesn't. We're here to try to improve ourselves too, and have these conversations, because we see this on TikTok all the time. We are true TikTok addicts. We send each other TikToks on a daily basis. We are on here all the time. We try to post as much as we need to or want to, and whatever. But we truly do. We do thank everyone that has followed us. Look at our TikToks. Maybe comment once in a while. Interact with us. We joke a lot about stuff, but like, we for real would love to have these conversations. And then we have an email, MindScapes717 @gmail.com. Please feel free.
And MindScapes717.com, which is our website.
Yeah.
And we also have that on Insta, and we have that on YouTube. So
yep.
We're there. We're there. So come find us.
Yes. Find us. So thank you for joining, whoever did join and wanted to stay, and whatever comments, we will look back, and if there's anything that we can answer, we will definitely do that. So thank you guys.
Thanks. Until next time.